Welcome to the Senior Techie Podcast. I want you to just picture a scenario for a moment.
Okay, let's hear it.
You are completely alone. Like, maybe you're in the house reading in your favorite chair, or perhaps you're out back in the garden, and suddenly something feels terribly wrong.
Right, like a sharp chest pain or a really bad fall.
Exactly. Or even a sudden inability to get your words out right.
Yeah.
And you look over, and your smartphone is sitting just 3 feet away on a patio table.
Oh, man. That's a scary thought.
It is. Because if you can't stand up, that 3 feet might as well be a mile. In that precise moment, what is that device actually configured to do for you?
That is exactly the question we are exploring in our source material. We are looking at manufacturer safety manuals, paramedic dispatch protocols, and even some technical engineering papers.
Which sounds super technical, but it's really about everyday survival.
It really is. The mission here is to uncover the reality of your smartphone, because it is secretly a dormant life-saving tool.
Yeah, and it's equipped with a built-in feature called emergency SOS, right?
Precisely. It is hardwired into almost every device from the last several years. But the data shows that most people either have it turned off or they are just completely unaware of how it actually works.
You know, our listeners at the Senior Techie frequently tell us that modern technology can feel, well, kind of like a runaway train. There's this huge fear of being left behind by these complex devices.
And that fear is completely valid, but we are going to deconstruct that complexity. We want to empower you.
So we're going to walk through this patiently, step by step, just like a deeply knowledgeable friend sitting with you right at the kitchen table.
That's the perfect way to look at it. We want you to know exactly how these systems function when you can't see the screen or, when you can't remember a password.
When you're just operating purely on instinct.
Exactly. So let's start with the most common device out there, the iPhone.
Okay, sounds good.
The challenge Apple faced was how to let someone trigger an emergency sequence without having to navigate a visual menu or put on their reading glasses.
Right, because in a panic, you're not going to be scrolling through tiny apps.
Exactly. So think of this emergency SOS feature as a digital flare gun. Or, that panic button on a medical alert necklace?
Oh, yeah, the ones you wear around your neck.
Right. But instead of buying a whole separate device, it's already built right into the phone you carry every single day.
That's a great analogy. So how do we actually fire this digital flare gun?
It relies on physical mechanics. If you're holding an iPhone 8 or any newer model, you press and hold the side button on the right and simultaneously hold either of the volume buttons on the left.
So you're giving the phone a deliberate multi-axis squeeze. You basically pinch it.
Yes, a firm pinch.
Yeah.
And the engineers chose this specifically to prevent accidental triggers.
Oh, that makes sense. Because if it was just one button, it could go off in a purse or a pocket.
Exactly. Now, if you have an older iPhone, the kind with the physical home button at the bottom, the mechanism is slightly different. You just rapidly click the side button 5 times in a row.
5 quick clicks. Okay. Wait, I do have a question about this, because I know it's a realistic fear for seniors.
Sure. What is it?
Well, if I hold the wrong buttons while trying to just turn down my phone's volume, am I going to accidentally call the police? What if this goes off while I'm just fumbling with my phone?
That is a very common worry, but I want to reassure you. The engineers built in some really clever fail-safes.
Okay, how does that work?
When you initiate the squeeze or the clicks, the screen first displays an emergency call slider. You can swipe it if you're able to, but if you can't see the screen, you just keep holding that physical squeeze.
And then what happens?
The phone initiates a countdown sequence, and it is not quiet.
Right, I've actually heard this. The phone's motor starts pulsing heavily in your hand, right?
Yes, a very strong haptic pulse. And it plays a really loud escalating alarm.
So if you accidentally trigger it, say, by wedging it in the couch cushions, that loud alarm is your warning.
Exactly. That alarm is your window to cancel it. You just let go of the buttons before the countdown finishes, and nothing happens.
That is incredibly reassuring. But what if I freeze? What if the countdown finishes and it does connect to a 911 dispatcher by mistake?
The paramedic dispatch protocols in our source material are very clear on this. If it connects, the absolute worst thing you can do is hang up out of embarrassment.
Wait, really? You shouldn't just hang up.
Never. Dispatch centers have strict rules for abandoned calls. If you hang up, the dispatcher assumes you might be incapacitated or in danger.
Oh, I see. So they think someone might have forced you to hang up.
Right. And because your phone automatically transmits its exact GPS location, they will often send law enforcement to your house for a mandatory welfare check.
Wow. Okay. So what is the correct thing to do?
You stay on the line, you speak clearly, and just tell the dispatcher, "I'm so sorry, my phone had an accidental activation. I am perfectly safe."
And they won't get mad.
Not at all. They just log it and close the incident. Understanding that process really takes the fear away, doesn't it?
It really does. It turns it from a terrifying accident into just a simple, clear procedure.
Exactly. Now, that procedure is standard across all Apple devices. But what if you don't use an Apple device?
Right, the Android landscape, which, from what we've read, is a whole different ballgame.
It is. Android is an open source system. So different brands like Samsung, Google, or Motorola, they all build their own software on top of it.
So navigating the settings on different Android phones is kind of like getting into different brands of cars.
That's a perfect way to describe it. A Ford and a Honda both have headlights, but the switch to turn them on is in a totally different spot.
So knowing exactly what your specific phone does is critical before an emergency strikes. Let's look at the Google Pixel first.
Okay, so on a Pixel, you go into Settings, then find Safety and Emergency, and tap Emergency SOS.
And to trigger it, it's usually 5 quick presses of the power button, right?
Yes, very similar to the older iPhones. And
Sure.
crucially, the Pixel is configured by default to dial 911 directly.
Okay, that makes sense. But Samsung did things differently, didn't they?
Very differently. On a Samsung Galaxy, you go to the same settings area, but the feature is often called Send SOS Messages.
And you activate that one with 3 quick presses of the side button. But here's the major difference, right?
Right. When you press it 3 times, the Samsung device does not automatically call 911.
Wait, it doesn't call the police.
No. Instead, it gathers your GPS coordinates, turns on the microphone to record a short audio clip, snaps photos with the cameras, and sends all of that as a text message.
A text message to who?
To your pre-selected personal emergency contacts, not to emergency services.
I mean, it is wild to me that Samsung sends a text message while a Pixel actually calls for help. Why is it so incredibly important to know which one your phone does?
Because a mismatch between what you expect and what the phone does is incredibly dangerous.
Give me an example.
Well, sending a text with photos and audio is fantastic if you're in a situation where you can't safely speak out loud.
Sure, like a security threat or something.
Exactly. But imagine you have a medical emergency. You press the button 3 times and you're lying there expecting an ambulance to show up.
But instead, you just texted your grandson at 2 in the morning.
Right. And if he's asleep, no one is coming. That's why you have to verify your specific setup today.
That is such a vital piece of advice for our listeners. Okay, so let's say you successfully triggered the SOS, and help is actually on the way.
Okay, the paramedics arrive.
But what happens if you're unconscious? Your phone is sitting right next to you, but it's locked tight with a passcode.
And modern smartphones have incredibly strong encryption. The paramedics cannot guess your passcode to get in.
So how do they know your medical history or your allergies? This brings us to the digital medical ID.
Yes. The engineers created a secure bypass just for this scenario.
I like to think of the lock screen on your phone as the locked front door of your house.
That's a good visual.
The medical ID is kind of like a physical medical alert bracelet, but instead of wearing it, it's basically a list of your allergies and medications taped to the outside of that locked front door.
Exactly. Paramedics don't need your passcode. They don't need the key to the house to read what's taped to the door.
It takes maybe 5 minutes to set up,
Hmm?
and it shows your blood type, your conditions, your daily meds, and who to call.
On an iPhone, you set this up in the Health app. You just tap your profile picture, select medical ID, and hit edit.
And for Android, it's usually under that safety and emergency settings menu we talked about.
Right. But I know what you're probably thinking.
Yeah, I know a lot of our listeners at the Senior Techie are very protective of their privacy. I mean, is it really safe to put all my personal medical information right on the front of my phone?
It's a fair question. You're worrying that anyone who finds your phone could potentially see it without needing your passcode.
Exactly. What if I leave it at a coffee shop? A stranger could see my prescriptions.
You have to balance that abstract privacy concern with the immediate life-saving benefit.
Which is pretty significant.
It really is. A paramedic finding you unconscious after a bad fall cannot ask what blood thinners you're taking.
Oh, wow. Yeah, if they give you the wrong medication, that could be fatal.
Exactly. This feature provides critical context that could literally save your life. It's a set-it-and-forget-it task that prioritizes your physical survival over theoretical data privacy.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. Okay, so we've covered what happens in your home or on the highway.
But what if you are off the grid?
Right. What if you're traveling, maybe hiking in a national park, or just driving on a really rural back road where you have absolute zero cell service.
This is where we get into some really impressive engineering. Satellite SOS.
Satellite SOS.
Oh,
I love this concept. Think of it like having a walkie-talkie that points directly to space.
that is essentially what it
When
is.
the local telephone poles, the cell towers, are too far away or knocked down by a storm, your phone can bypass them entirely. It just beams a message straight up to the stars.
It worked entirely without cell towers or Wi-Fi. It's available on the iPhone 14 or newer and some of the newer Google Pixels.
But it's not quite like making a normal phone call, right?
No, not at all. Because satellites are thousands of miles up and moving incredibly fast, catching their signal is kind of like trying to catch the beam of a moving lighthouse.
So you have to physically help the phone find it.
Exactly. The screen will actually show you a little graphic and prompt you to hold the phone up, point it at the sky, and turn your body to track the satellite.
And because satellite bandwidth is so small, you can't just chat on a live voice call.
Right. The phone presents you with a series of multiple choice questions.
Like, are you injured or are you trapped?
Yes. You just tap your answers, and it compresses all that info plus your exact location into a tiny text packet and shoots it to an emergency relay center.
That is truly amazing. But I have a question, one that we see in the FAQs a lot.
What's the concern?
Well, this sounds like a lot of heavy lifting for a small phone. If I have all these SOS features turned on and the phone is constantly scanning the sky for satellites, is it going to drain my battery faster?
Like leaving the porch light on all day?
Exactly. Am I going to ruin my battery life just to be safe?
The engineering documents explicitly clear this up. The answer is no, it does not drain your battery.
Oh, really? Not at all.
Not at all. The satellite hardware stays completely dormant. It draws zero power until you actually trigger the SOS sequence in a dead zone.
That's a huge relief. And what about the cost? Does standard SOS cost extra on my phone bill?
No, standard cellular SOS is completely free. And for the satellite SOS, Apple currently offers it for free for 2 years after you activate a qualifying iPhone.
That's great to know. Is there anything else travelers should be aware of?
Yes, a very important warning. SOS behavior, the button combinations, and the emergency numbers themselves vary by country.
Right, because 911 isn't universal.
Right.
Like in Europe, it's 112.
Exactly. Your phone tries to update this automatically when you land, but it's not foolproof. So always manually check your emergency settings if you travel internationally.
Okay, we've covered a ton of ground today. Well, in this session, let's synthesize all of this into a clear, empowering checklist for the listener.
A 15-minute action plan you can do right now.
Step 1. Check if emergency SOS is turned on.
Yes, go into your settings, and if your phone has a practice or demo mode, try it out. Experience the alarm sound now so it doesn't terrify you in a real emergency.
Good idea. Step 2. Add 2 or 3 emergency contacts.
But make sure it's people who would actually answer their phone at 2:00 a.m.
Very true. Step 3. Fill out that digital medical ID. Put in your allergies and meds.
It takes 5 minutes and could literally save your life.
And step 4. Check to see if your phone has satellite SOS, especially if you regularly travel to areas with poor cell signal.
That's a solid practical list. But I want to leave you with a final, broader thought based on our reading. We've spent this time talking about preparing your personal phone, but what about your broader family communication plan?
That's a really good point.
If a major emergency happens, does your family know who to contact? The experts strongly suggest printing out the free planning guide from ready.gov.
Ready.gov, that's a great resource.
Yeah, you fill it out with your family and keep a physical copy in a kitchen drawer. Preparing your phone is step 1, but having a family plan is what truly keeps everyone connected.
It's all about taking control, so technology works for you, not the other way around. This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to receive their free newsletters, you can subscribe at subscribe.theseniortechie.com.